How's it going, everybody? I hope that everyone's doing all right. Um, I had a few things I wanted to talk about today, per usual. A lot of things I have been talking about relate to mental health and community and their crossroads. Um, Kind of the reoccurring subjects I've been going over is also how we deal with big problems. Um, and I believe that starts at the individual. If each individual is happier, and it takes an army, then before we know it, our communities will be happier, our towns and cities will be happier, our societies will be happier. It's a domino effect, but it does. We can't fast track that to focusing on a happier society when the people within the society are not happy, right? Um, and that goes into mental health. And I believe each one of us has had an experience or known someone that has had an experience with mental health, severe or otherwise, to give us kind of an understanding on what it is. There's such a variation in mental health illnesses and issues, and it's almost so normal that we forget about it. And you think because of its normality, we'd be able to deal with it pretty well, but obviously that is not the case. Um, I've been very interested in researching how past societies have dealt with mental health and whether we are doing it poorly or this has always just been a struggle that has been consistent with humanity. And what I've found is that there are a lot of societies in human history that treat mental illness very differently than we treat it today. Um, there's a video I talked about a few weeks ago where there was a variety of uh, societies that actually treated people with severe mental illness to have like kind of put them on a pedestal, um, and thought that they had an ability that the normal or the healthy did not. And I'm starting to believe that they were onto something there. I always kind of thought that was interesting, but I truly believe that that is a very real possibility and that there is something to be learned from everybody, but especially those who are going through what we label as a mental illness. When I was at Asheville, North Carolina, last week, I had an opportunity to speak with this schizophrenic lady, or at least I think she was schizophrenic. Um, I was eating my lunch in a park, sitting down, and this girl sat right next to me, like a foot away. And we started just talking. At first, I was a little on edge because, like, who is she? I don't know who she is. And I've had experiences with mentally ill people that choose violence, and they want to like fight me for some reason. Um, and yeah, also it's just dangerous, right? There's just stranger danger. Everyone knows that. But um, I kind of sized her up a little bit when I was sitting next to her, and I was like, yeah, I could probably take her if she doesn't have like a gun. So if she does decide to go crazy, like I can like wrestle her down and just like bear hug her until she chills or something. I don't know. Um, but obviously that did not happen. We're good. She ended up being super nice. Um, but what I found was super interesting is she would have a conversation with me and we'd be talking, and then she'd like shake her head and she'd look over her shoulder and she'd have a different conversation, and then she'd like tell that person to be quiet for a second and she'd have a different conversation. And she was like, you probably think I'm crazy right now. And I was like, no. Like, what's going on? And she said that she was having 6 conversations at the moment, and 6 is too many. And I thought that was pretty interesting and probably very overwhelming. So I tried not to say too much because I didn't want to like overstimulate her, maybe. Um, but I did ask her if she was learning anything from these conversations. And she said, oh, yeah. She's like, I'm onto something. She's like, I don't know what it is, but I'm onto something. And I just couldn't help but think how much you can learn from, like, if you're having constant conversation even if it is internally, and you're learning from these conversations, then dang, there's probably a lot she knows that I don't know. She's having this dialogue 24/7 or however long that episode, that schizophrenic episode lasts, that she's learning and having conversations, and whether they're negative or positive, but she believes that she's taking something out of those conversations. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, and that couldn't help me, that couldn't, I couldn't help but become more curious on kind of the troubled artist. And it got me thinking um, how consistent this is throughout artists and throughout creatives in human history. Um, I first became uh, interested in this subject because I have a cousin, Luke Bell, who had bipolar schizophrenia, and he made fantastic country music. Um, this was before I really even enjoyed country music, but I thought, dang, like this stuff's actually really good. And I thought I didn't like country music before that. After he passed away, um, I thought, man, he can't be the only one. And luckily, I found some other fantastic country artists. Beside the point, though. But what I'm getting at is I think that a lot of these people that we label to have mental illnesses actually hold power in kind of different facets of life that maybe the normal people can't see. I know it kind of sounds corny, but I find it to be true. And you find when you look up, before I started this video, I looked up uh, artists that have died from addiction, mental health, suicide. Um, and man, it's just like overwhelming how many people, artists, have died. Mac Miller, he obviously died of an accidental fentanyl overdose. Old Dirty Bastard, DMX, Tom Petty, accidental opioid overdose. We have Michael Jackson, Jimi Hendrix. We have artists like Amy Winehouse. We have Van Gogh, who killed himself. We have my cousin, who overdosed on fentanyl. And these are artists that have given us a perspective into life that obviously holds power, since so many people are drawn towards them. Um, and a lot of people think, maybe it's both. A lot of people think that having that creative power is hard on the mind, which I bet it is. But also I believe that having what we label as that mental illness gives them a perspective to make their art that everyone is so gravitated towards. We just see it time and time again. Everyone who's so insanely talented always has this other side that is lacking in some way or another, or they're tortured. Um, and I don't know, I just find it super interesting that it's just such a constant in almost damn near every single artist, creative person that has power and change also is tortured in another aspect of their life. Um, and I just think, man, what if they were kind of fought for more, right? And that wasn't as idolized as being like, oh, like rock star, like rock and drugs and rap and all that shit, you know? Like people just like, they kind of idolize a lifestyle instead of being like, man, it's pretty fucking unhealthy and it's going to lead to death. And it has time and time again. So it just makes me think, what if we protected them more and tried to help them more? Like, would they still be making art? Would they not? Would it be different? Is that what they needed to make art? Like, is that the source of making that art? I don't know. But again, I do think we have a massive issue with mental health. And I don't necessarily believe the problem is mental health, because everyone is going to go through mental health. I don't think that problem is, oh, we have to defeat depression. We have to defeat anxiety. We have to defeat ADHD or whatever, I don't know, whatever it may be, because it's not going to be defeated. It never will. But how we, as a society, how we react to these uh, conditions and how we tell people to react to these conditions is, I think, negative. And I think this is even ingrained, obviously, in myself. Whenever I see a person on the street who's talking to themselves, I'm like, oh, don't go near that person. He's crazy or she's crazy. Like, don't talk to her. Don't give her the time of day. She's crazy. And I think, obviously, like, we're taught to fear these people, and these people know that they are feared, and they know that people are turning the other cheek, you know. So that probably doesn't feel too good either. Um, but I think, from what I've seen, some of the things that come out of these deaths, these deaths of these tortured artists, are beautiful things and starting in the right direction. For example, when my cousin Luke Bell died, my aunt and some other family members and other people started Luke Bell Memorial for Affordable Counseling, and that's providing affordable counseling in the Bighorn Basin in Wyoming, in a state that suicide is the leading cause of death. It's the highest. Wyoming has the highest suicide rates than any other state in the nation. Um, so this is like a real issue that is trying to be solved, and it's not being solved by being like, oh, we need to kill the depression, we need to kill the mental condition, but it's like, how are we dealing with it? How are we looking at it? Everybody has it. Everybody has gone a little bit crazy. Everyone has been sad. Everyone has been depressed. That's always gonna. That's life, man. Like, you know, like, that's why beautiful things are beautiful, because there are ugly things that are ugly, right? That's why you feel happy, because you know what it's like to feel sad. Um, so defeating depression, defeating mental illness is not going to happen. But our reaction to mental illness, our reaction to depression, our reaction to all these negative emotions, um, that's something that we can change. And that's something that I believe should be a focus. And I think it has proven to work. And obviously, if individuals are happier and we know how to deal with our emotions, control our emotions, live with them, process them, uh, then it's only a matter of time until that is projected onto our communities and the people that we are surround ourselves with. And it's only a matter of time before our community members start to follow, uh, our towns and cities start to follow, our society start to follow. Um, and then we have, as a byproduct of that, we have lower gun violence, lower robbery, lower crime. We have a sense of pride in ourselves and our community members. Um, your neighbor helped you get out of depression, so you're going to help your other neighbor do the same. It's a domino effect that is rooted in care for yourself. And when you care for yourself, that gives you no other option but to care for others. Um, that's the human condition, man. It's beautiful. But that's all I had today. Kind of a short one. But I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Much love.